All right, let's make sure this tweet went out here. Guys, welcome here. All right, tweet is good. This is a special edition stream. It is not a randomizer stream. I did that last night with Tom Everett Scott. It was very fun. But I'm sitting here looking at the Drafter'S lobby, and their Big Take 10K championship is filling rapidly. It's already 3/4 of the way full. So I wanted to get in here, draft a few teams. Had to bring on my guy, Court Smith from Bet the Prop. I've seen him out here drafting some of these teams. Thought he could help me walk through my first draft in the Drafter'S championship. How you doing, Court?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. How many bullets have you fired at this thing?
Not that many. I think I'm at about 15, 20 so far, or something like that.
So the big difference that I'm not used to is only the 10-team drafts versus the 12. Have you been feeling that pretty heavily?
Yeah, I mean, it makes a big difference in terms of looking at the board and being like, holy shit, I got this guy in the 9th or 10th or whatever. But it doesn't, I don't think it makes a big difference. Obviously, everybody's teams are going to be a little bit stronger. It's not really changing the way that I approach it in terms of structurally or anything like that. But I actually like smaller leagues. Anytime I get a chance to jump in a 10 or a 6-man, I'm game. So I kind of like it. I hope they switch it up a little bit more with 12-man with their next tournament. But I kind of like the 10-man right now.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely build some more monster teams with the 10-man. And have there been any ADPs or extreme values that have started to jump out to you after doing a handful of these?
I mean, all those wide receivers, 2nd to 5th round, basically. You just got to hammer that. So all my teams look very similar because of that, because I'm just not taking anything, especially in this format. I'm not taking anything but wide receiver from rounds 3 to 5 specifically. In round 2, often taking a Kittle or a Kelsey if you can. But yeah, I mean, all those guys like the Juju and DJ Moore is a good value in the 3rd. All those guys, I think those are the best values in drafts overall this year. And then there's lots of good. It's what I'm watching for a lot is all the 0 RB targets, kind of round 8 and beyond. That's been really interesting. We've seen a lot of variance in terms of where those guys are going. Sometimes, a guy like Duke Johnson will be going, round 8, and sometimes he'll be going like round 12 or 13. So when a guy like that is dropping way down, I like it quite a bit. So yeah, I'm sure we'll have lots of time to get into some of the ZRB values. And that's, so I think that's where a lot of the value is. And that's a really important part of the draft, I think, is sort of that round 3 to 9 or 10. I think you're going to be able to find guys that have real chances of vastly outperforming their ADPs in that section of the draft, whereas 12 and beyond, you're really looking at dart throws. But those kind of rounds 3 to 10, there's a bunch of guys in there that are legitimate league winners. So those are the parts I'm focusing on in these drafts.
Yeah, I know we're both big RotoViz guys. I think we've read a lot of similar stuff about the best structural ways to approach these drafts. So I have a feeling we won't have too many big disagreements on how to build this team. It looks like we still need 7 people in our league. If you guys would like to hop in and draft with us, you are more than welcome to do so. My new thing, Court, is I am just completely content leaking expected value via these streams and just doing it for the fans, right, man?
Like, yeah, we're live, right? No delay?
No delay. I need to figure out with StreamYard if I can do a delay. Pat and I, for our ship chasing, we've been doing these mini episodes when we're on the clock, but a couple of them we'd have to stagger the release because we're talking about picks we're going to make after this or how it affects it. And it's just like, okay, this is a main event, $1,800 draft. Like, there is a limit to the kind of information we can give up fully.
Yeah, for sure. On a $5 punt like this, I don't mind. I guess we'll see if people are watching. I think you and I are both going to have similar ideas, like you said, about what we want from guys. But yeah, I've been watching a lot of your randomizers, and it seems like people come out for the express purpose of snaking quite a bit.
Yeah, it's funny. That's the dichotomy is if they want to snake us to to tilt, or if they just want to scoop up the value. I've seen you in a couple of the randomizer drafts building some monster teams.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not going to lie. It feels good to snipe you guys and put the spotlight on me, right? Take the spotlight away from you. It's kind of fun just to. So I don't know. That may be a possibility tonight, but I'm not too worried about for $5. And like I say, I mean, I've not seen a lot of guys doing the types of strategies that you and I are likely going to end up doing, modified zero RB and a heavy zero RB. It's been very, very robust, and I don't think that's changing in tournaments. Do you have any thoughts on that in terms of? I know you're generally a zero RB kind of guy, but would you change it up in a format like this, or what are your thoughts on zero RB versus robust in a format like this?
Yeah, I think I've only drafted one robust RB team this year. It was one of the Bestball mock draft, and even that, I think I might have done 3. But yeah, I think if I would do it, we've seen the Mike Beers hyper fragile strategy where you start out with 3 running backs and then you just ignore it for a long, long time. I think that strategy, if it syncs up with the appropriate, cost value propositions, works out. So like, if this would be my dream robust RB start is I'm from the 1 hole or even 2, and I start with C-Mac or Barkley. I get like Eckler falling, and then I grab Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the early 3rd. Like I just need like the perfect players in the perfect spot to pull that off, but you rarely get those exact circumstances.
Yeah, I mean, Edwards-Helaire is maybe the only guy I would, in a format like this, I'd be reaching for. The problem, of course, with drafting running backs early like that is, I mean, you have to get them right. If you get them all right, then you're in great shape. If you get them all right and you hit all your wide receiver targets right, maybe you got a chance. But of course, you're not going to get it right. So I think definitely heading in with kind of a structural approach. Like for me, robust RB is, you can't do it in this tournament. I just don't really see the upside for it, right? Like even if you're getting all your players right, you're going to have a nice robust score that would be good in a 12-man standard league.
Yeah.
But, unless you really hit some miracles late in the draft, you're just not going to have the upside, right? Like you're drafting, like Joe Mixon is going, 7th or 8th overall. Well, that's a ceiling pretty much, right? Yeah. Like unless the Bengals are an absolute miracle team and they're running a ton of plays this year, but even then he gets scripted out of games so easily. So yeah, hammering running backs early. I definitely think that the absolute ideal approach here is modified zero RB, get a top 4 pick ideally, and then just hammer running backs. I've been taking the elite tight end in the second quite a bit, Kittle and Kelsey, and then just hammering running backs for like 4 or 5 rounds and just trying to get the upside on those guys. I really think that's the way to go in this tournament.
Yeah. And I think the only I also like getting one of those elite tight ends if possible. The one thing that sometimes gives me a little pause on Drafter specifically is Mark Andrews slips really far. And if I'm able to pencil him in like the early or mid 4th, it really kind of pushes me towards loading up on a couple stud wide receivers. But in general, looks like we're about to start here. We can see what our draft slot is. But in general, yeah, I want to get one of those top 3 tight ends. Let's see what our pick is. Nice, Court, number 3 hole.
Beautiful. So probably Zeke.
Okay, so this will be an interesting conversation. Are you Zeke over Kamara? I think in general I'm a Kamara guy.
You know what? It's a good point. In this format, I definitely don't mind Kamara over Zeke in this format. In standard 12-man, I'd probably lean. I might take Kamara here and there. Yeah. But I would definitely lean Zeke 3 out of 4 times. But yeah, in this format, I can be convinced for Kamara. Absolutely.
I actually recognize a few names in here. We got Hayden Winks out of the 2 hole. He's going to do us no favors. We got Unk4423. Yes, guys, sorry. I am taking a break from the randomizer. That is the Friday night edition. I didn't want to do the randomizer for the championship because it would allow some teams to have maybe an outsized advantage, but I did want to draft some. So that's what I'm going to do one tomorrow. I'll probably do one every day until it fills, because what do you think, Court? This probably fills in 3 to 4 days.
Yeah, it looks like it's been about 400 entries a day, something like that. And there's about 1,500 left. So yeah, about 3-4 days, I would say, till it fills.
Yeah, so you guys will actually get to see what a team drafts when I get to make the decisions and not the randomizer. And if you're just tuning in, Court and I are generally going to be on the same page with how to approach this. So you get to just hear us kind of talk out our thoughts and as we build this out. But as you mentioned, this really does set us up for the modified zero RB approach. I guess we can say, is there a running back that if they fell to us in the late second that you would want to pull the trigger?
No.
I love the definitive.
Yeah, no. I mean, maybe like, Miles Sanders, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But even then, I'm not sure I would do that even if Miles Sanders were there. It gets you off schedule. Football coaches like to stay on schedule. I want to stay on schedule. I want to get targets. I want to get targets early. Just collect those targets, and then we're just going to hope for chaos from in general from the NFL this season, which I think is a good bet to see some chaos this year. And just generally, one thing people forget is that RB injury rates were pretty low last year compared to historical. So if we get a bit of a bounce back there, I think that helps this strategy a lot.
Nice. I didn't circle back with you. It seems like you were okay with Kamara there. Zeke, he scares me.
Yeah, for sure.
I think Pollard is really, really good, and I think he's going to have some standalone value this year. And Elliott feels like there's lots of traps along the way. Elliott feels like that trap of Absolutely. The guy people feel confident about.
Yeah, we don't know. His receiving work has sort of been all over the place. Like last year, it started quite slowly when Kellen Moore was calling plays. And then as Jason Garrett sort of took over, we saw a return to like funneling everything through Zeke and funneling everything through Jason Witten. I don't know what to expect, but I certainly think it's possible that he gets considerably less work in the passing game this year, right? Especially with Pollard. That's something he's really strong at. He was efficient as a rookie, and he could definitely be a lot better as a sophomore.
Yeah, and this offense is going to be really good. Like if you did want to talk me into Zeke, it's just be like he's just going to, fall over into 10 touchdowns with not much effort this year with as much as they're going to be at the goal line.
Yeah, and Kamara, I mean, we still haven't seen him put it together, right? I mean, he's won games for people and he's had some big seasons, but we still haven't really seen him put together that one dominant season. And he's got that in him. He's got a McCaffrey-like season in his overall outcomes, right?
Yeah. And I think I was early in the offseason, I was pretty nervous about Alvin Kamara just having gotten burned by him a lot in DFS last year where he had that stretch where he wasn't fully healthy. He came back a little too early. He just didn't seem to have that cutting ability that he had early in the season. But, Pat Kerrane was telling me, he still was leading the league in evasive and elusivity with his broken tackles. And if we get him back to full health, I don't think there's any reason to think he's not going to be a PPR monster and have the big plays to go alongside of it.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, can you switch to the is it possible to switch to the
every time I need to be reminded of that. I always forget. Yes, this is
especially
the better view.
Because I don't think I can see the grid on my local computer here. I think this is the only way I can see the grid.
Let me boost it here for people too.
Yeah. Actually, can you send me that link, that URL link at the top? Can you send that through Slack or whatever?
Yeah. Do it in the private chat.
Yeah. Okay, so 2 wide receivers off the board.
So Get Paid had asked if you would consider Eckler if he fell to the end of the second round after you quickly said there weren't too many. Does Eckler make that cut for you?
No.
Yeah.
No, we're going. Well, Kelsey went 8th overall, so I don't think Kittle's going to fall.
That's pretty early for Kelsey, is it? I don't even see him in the first of these.
No, it's mostly been, kind of 13, 14, 15, 16 range for Kelsey.
Yeah, I definitely love getting that tight end in these formats. The elite tight end, it really frees you up structurally to do so much other stuff of having to take like 4 dart throws on these tight ends.
Yeah, I'm sure that's something we'll get into later, but that's a big reason why I do like elite tight end, not only because of the weekly edge it gives you, but because, you can go like there's 20 spots in these drafts, right? So you kind of have to decide what you want to do with the onesie positions. And if you go elite tight end early and then you like spend a little bit of quarterback, you can kind of go 16 wide receivers, running backs, which in this format I kind of like just trying to get those flyers, right?
Yeah. Wow. The FF Child goes double tight end to start. Wow. Kelsey Kittle. That's definitely going to squeeze things a bit.
All right. I can't see the board. So we're looking.
Sorry. Can you see the board on the screen?
Where did you send that link?
Oh, in the private chat. I'll also send it to you on Slack if that's easier.
Oh, never mind. No. I can just copy and paste here. Let's see.
how about tremendous tight end? Brian, in your new burner Twitter account, you found this stream. Just think, Brian, how much better your life was when you weren't on Twitter.
I got this now. Okay, so yeah, we're looking. Well, there goes Sanders. So yeah.
So we got Hopkins, Godwin. Which of those two do you prefer? I would say those are our best bets.
Yeah, let's go. Hopkins. I mean, Hopkins is the guy. Like his price is being depressed basically on the fact that he's moving to a new team, right?
Yeah.
If he was on the same team, he'd probably be 10th overall.
Yeah.
And that's fair. That's like a concern, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, Hopkins has tons of upside still in that offense. Like that offense for all everyone kind of talked about how fast it was. Like we really only saw kind of glimpses of it, right? Like they have a lot more volume to give us potentially.
Yeah. And I do think too that, Hopkins, I know you and me aren't big narrative, watch the tape guys, but he is that transcendent talent. And I do think the kind of, changing teams, that is going to be offset not only by his talent, but just by the offense and the environment and the play uptick that he's going to get to where, yes, he's going to probably have less of a market share, but I think the efficiency and kind of the pie of that offense will offset that. And he should produce very similar to what he did last year.
Absolutely. Or more. I mean, he was used as a really low ADOT kind of guy last year, right? I mean, and he still did pretty well. We're up here, are we? I can't see the board. So what wide receivers are there?
Yes, we have lots of options at wide receivers. I'm going to guess you and me we got Godwin, we got Evans, we got DJ Moore. And then the only other thing would be structurally if we wanted to consider a tight end, because it's doubtful that Mark Andrews is going to make it all the way to the back end of the fourth.
Right.
How have you been handling that? It's a little early, but in a lot of leagues have been pulling the trigger on Andrews here, but I'm open to Godwin too.
Yeah. I mean, I would probably draft Godwin. I could be talked into Andrews. Oh man. You know what? In this format, I don't mind Andrews in this format. Again, we're just like, he has legit tight end one outcomes, right? So I think that's good.
Yeah. Let's do Mark Andrews. I just end up liking that structurally better. And because I don't want to reach on Waller and Higbee, and then I don't want to use up, like, I love guys like Hawkinson and Gesicki, but based on our build, that's going to be when we're starting to hammer some of our zero running backs.
Yeah. I'm just curious what the range of outcomes says about Andrews.
Yeah, I'm getting to the point where I'm dangerously overexposed to Andrews because I haven't been able to afford Kittle and Kelsey in a lot of spots. And then Andrews is just that guy. I've basically convinced myself that he's going to take the leap and be in that tier with those guys this year. For whether that's true or not, I have convinced myself of it.
Yeah, it's it's tough. I want to see his range of outcomes. But yeah, I mean, like, and plus, like we were talking about before, like now, if we spend a little bit more equity on tight end here, we're done, right? And we don't have to worry about that position anymore. And that means in the later rounds we can spend running back and wide receiver. Yeah, I like Andrews there. I mean, he's really the only guy that has a chance of breaking into the elite top two guys tier, I would say. Maybe Ertz, but probably not. I mean, Ertz saw his maximum volume last year, and he still wasn't quite at that level, right?
Yeah. I guess that would be the question. I see a pretty big gap between Andrews and Ertz. I see the argument for the gap being very close. If you are in that camp, then the question is, okay, what's the 2v2 we're looking at here of Mark Andrews, wide receiver in the fourth, or Godwin versus Ertz? We could get bit on that 2v2 depending on how this board falls. Yeah.
Just quick, I'm looking at the range of outcomes here app on RotoViz. So Andrews has the 7th highest range of outcomes at 13.6, just behind Jared Cook. But I don't think I think one of your viewers just pointed out the snap count for Andrews was sub 50%. And there's just tons of room for him there. He's very efficient. There's tons of room for that offense. A few, like even 60% snaps. I mean, he's got pretty realistic routes to number 2, tight end 1, 2.
Yeah. Circling back to this, would I personally have gone Eckler if Court wasn't here? No, I wouldn't have. I would have liked the 3. I guess the only thing I would say is because I did say this at the beginning, it would have set me up to maybe do a hyper fragile, robust RB start, but that's still not my preferred thing. It's just I do think it's viable if you commit to it and you do it right. The problem we see, and I bet Court would agree, is a lot of people who start running back early, they end up still going back to them in very high opportunity cost rounds. They have a hard time getting away from it. So Hayden will be a very interesting case here as his testosterone through the roof, starting with 3 running backs. We will now see if he can venture away from them or if he won't be able to help himself.
Well, Chubb in the 3rd, I mean, it's pretty hard to argue with that as much as I don't love the strategy. Chubb in the 3rd is pretty good value, I would say.
You know what opened that up for him? Aaron Jones there. That's pretty early for Jones. From what I've seen, he went 17th overall.
Right.
Normally I feel like that's swapped where you have Chubb going in that mid-second with Mixon, Jacobs. So Jones ended up kind of pushing Chubb down further for Hayden.
So, but now he's right. Like we're seeing the wide receiver runs go. So all these targets are going to be gone here. But he, if he wants to, he can get 2 wide receivers and not be in too bad a shape. But like you were saying, the guys who tend to go heavy RB here, they're not tending to switch off RB at this point. So Ertz just went there. That makes me feel a little better because we definitely weren't getting Ertz coming back.
So we're about to be on the clock here. I know there's some wide receivers we like. For me, I've just been auto drafting AJ Brown here all year. I don't know. Do you have anyone else that's above him on your board?
No, I think AJ Brown. I also like Odell here in this format, but I think Odell has a better chance of coming back to us. So,
yeah. Okay. So Ingram goes. So we get my guy, AJ Brown, your guy, everyone's guy. If you're in the know, I am. So Michael Dubner, I do have my eye on the Bet the Prop Slack. By the way, guys, if you are interested in prop betting, Court has a great community going on in the Bet the Prop Slack channel. We can talk about it a little bit later when we aren't on the clock. But Michael Dubner says a good topic to discuss would be how do 20 rounds as opposed to 18 with no defense affect the strategy, especially regarding roster construction, considering you're probably drafting wide receivers in rounds 19 to 20. Do you have any comments on that?
My comments on that would be Michael Dubner's comments on that because he's the guy. He's the guy I usually go to with roster construction questions. He does a lot more work in that department than I do. And when I asked him, Drafter'S expanded from 18 spots to 20 spots a couple of weeks ago. Well, let's get this. What do we got here for wide receivers left? We're up.
Yeah, I think we got 2 more picks until we're up. Go ahead.
So yeah, and it's really going to depend on. Again, your construction in the earlier. Okay, there goes Odell.
The one other thing I will say is that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is here. I don't think
he's gone. He's gone.
Oh, is he gone? Okay, then never mind.
Second, yeah.
Okay, sorry.
So Chark.
Chark is my guy here too.
Yeah.
That one's pretty easy.
Yeah, that's an easy one. So yeah, I'm not. I think that with the extra spots, what I'm trying to do, I think in an ideal world, because going through Sean Siegel's Bestball workshops, one of the things that really stood out for me, that something I haven't been doing in past years and might be even more important this year, is to kind of hit that QB window. Make sure you're kind of getting a QB in rounds sort of 7 to 11 and not missing out. Like the back end of QB is pretty ugly this year. So ideally what I like to be able to do is get 2, elite tight ends, 2 good quarterbacks. Like if you can go like a Dak, Stafford type of thing, then I think you can be like done at quarterback and done at tight end ideally, and just hammer running backs and wide receivers. Like in this format, I really, I think you want as many darts as possible, and I don't really want like Gardner Minshew darts. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you have to have access to that ceiling. The big thing, it's always like, well, last year and the year before, people were hitting on Lamar Jackson and Mahomes in these mid rounds. I don't personally think that quarterback exists this year, but there is going to be a quarterback from that range that probably has a top 5 season.
Yeah.
The other thing that we start to really heavily consider, and I agree with all of your trying to target some high upside quarterbacks there, is the stacking element, because we know how important stacking is, especially in these large field tournaments. We want to open ourselves up to high amounts of variance. And we actually have some interesting options here from a cost perspective. DeAndre Hopkins with Kyler, AJ Brown with Ryan Tannehill. I know you just mentioned Minshew with Chark not being as exciting, but at the very least, it is very cheap.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and again, I'm going to defer to Michael Dubner here. He's done more work in this area, but he had a good thread about stacking in this particular tournament last week. And the thing to keep in mind with this tournament is that it's different from the draft tournament last year, which was much more weighted towards single season. I think there was bonuses for single season, so the weekly scoring mattered. Like if you had a big week in a single week, that mattered. In this format, it doesn't really matter. Like literally, it's total points. There's no head-to-head aspect. There's no playoff aspect. It's just like points from week 1 to week 16, and there's nothing else to it. So we really just want points. And so like to have and I think this, so anyway, his point sort of being that if you want to do stacks, they really need to be the late round stacks that are going to have a huge effect, right? Like if you're stacking a KC player, but you're spending a first on Tyreek and a second on Patrick Mahomes, there's not a lot of room there to outperform, right? So he's sort of saying you really want to have guys that can outperform. If you're going to stack, get guys that can outperform by a wide margin. So that's what I'll be trying to do a little bit, but really I'm not. I don't know. Do you have stronger feelings on stacking than me? I don't think, especially in this format, I don't see a huge reason to do it.
Yeah, I mean, my kind of thing, and maybe this is just the easy diplomatic way out of it, is I love stacking if the price syncs up well, but I'm not going to hemorrhage 2 rounds of ADP just to force a stack. But I do like thinking through stacks in a reverse engineering way. Sean always talks about planning your draft backwards. And I like that we have wide receivers at different price points for the stack, because I still do think you want a stack or two in this contest to if you get that
variance,
just increase the variance. It's just an intuitive concept, right? Like if DJ Chark has a top 5 season, Minshew's going to probably just crush his ADP. Yeah. So, it's trying to hit on some of those kind of outlier outcomes.
What's in the queue here, bud? What do we got at wide receiver in the queue here?
Yeah, so we got some good wide receivers going off the board right now. Metcalf, McLaurin, Diggs. If we head over to the wide receivers, we got
I see our guy.
Sutton, my guy. We got Boyd. Who in this range is super intriguing to you?
I like the same guy you like without saying them out loud. It's pretty obvious. Otherwise, it's going to get interesting. Otherwise, what do we got at tight end here? Waller. We're in the Waller. Yeah.
Nobody's gone off since Ertz. You could. I mean, where are you at with Waller? He's kind of a polarizing guy.
Yeah, I'm sort of taking him as a consolation prize when I miss out on the top 2 guys sometimes, but I'm doing it in a sort of poor man's elite tight end fashion, where if I'm taking Waller here, say we haven't taken Andrews already, I would take Waller here, but I'm taking another tight end pretty quickly. You know what I mean? Like I'd love to get Waller and Henry, something like that. Waller and Ingram. I've been taking probably too much Ingram. But yeah, I don't want to have, like, to me, Waller is not a Kelsey guy where you can just like take him and not worry about it for the rest of the season. Like if I'm taking Waller, then I'm probably taking 3 tight ends ultimately. Okay.
Right? Was it Sutton for you?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yep. Pat and I are on Sutton as well. I think the discount on him is really nice. He's already proven stud. It's going to take the rookies a while to get caught up to speed. I have very little concerns on Sutton at this price.
Yeah, and I think that's as much as Denver's getting a lot of hype this year, like that could be, we just got Sutton in the 6th. That could be sort of a cheap stack if we want to go that route, a cheap Denver stack, because absolutely he's got some pretty studly outcomes. I think he was. I'm just going to look it up here quick. I think he's got one of the highest high outcomes. Yeah, he's 11th out of all wide receivers. So his high range of outcomes is 16.8 points per game, which is better than Tyreek's, better than DJ Moore, better than Calvin Ridley, better than Tyler Boyd, better than McLaren, better than Chark.
Yeah.
His high. So, and really, like, I know Denver added a bunch of guys who I like, but yeah, who knows what's going to happen with this offseason. And Sutton could be one of those type of talents that sort of demands targets regardless. You know what I mean? Like sort of a DJ Moore type of guy where like people were so worried about DJ Moore's targets last summer, but it's like he's so good that, you know, those kind of guys, they're going to get their targets kind of regardless of who else is on the team.
All right, I'm going to float something here. I think this is kind of a pretty flat part of the draft. There's no guys that are screaming to me based on ADP alone. What do you think about stacking up Tyler with Nuke here?
Let's see wide out really quick. Wide receiver.
So we got AJ Green, Gallup, Landry.
Yeah. I don't want any of those guys. I don't want any of those guys. Yeah, man. I think so. As long as tight end. I like Ingram, but whatever. Yeah.
I kind of let's do it. It's, again, you know, we're heavily invested in DeAndre Hopkins.
That's actually pretty late for Kyler.
Yeah,
he's like, that's a big gap from the QB2 Mahomes 27 to 63. Yep. Yeah, he's going earlier than that usually.
Yeah, and I think again, it goes back to that thing. If this was just a regular redraft, managed league, you and I probably aren't reaching for quarterback this early. But we talked about the QB window that RotoViz has written a lot about. This falls squarely in that. It gives us upside. It gets us a stack. We didn't overpay for it. And the opportunity cost wasn't huge. We looked at the board. There were some options, but no guys that were just screaming obvious picks.
Yeah, we did well. We filled their flex with Sutton, which was really good. And then, now there's going to be a big quarterback run here now. And now we've opened the door to that strategy that we talked about. Like if we want to finish up, if we want to spend a couple picks here on tight end and quarterback in the next 3-4 rounds, we can wrap that up pretty much and just hammer running backs and wide receivers and have 8-8 or 9-7 wide receiver running back.
Let's I'll throw this question to you about Sutton. Get Paid says, does Judy scare you?
No. I think what scares me is just like like I was just saying, Sutton he's becoming the kind of guy that it sort of doesn't really matter. Like he is an alpha wide receiver. He's commanding volume no matter what in a low volume offense. And that's my concern with Denver more than anything is, they're getting a lot of hype this season, and Drew Lock was he was like top 10 in that ESPN real life draft. So he's getting a lot of mainstream love. Denver's getting a lot of mainstream love, but it's still Vic Fangio. It's still, they spent at running back this offseason, which tells you, what they also want to do. So they're still going to be running the ball a ton. It's going to be low scoring games for the most part. So that's what scares me on the Denver offense more than Judy. Like Sutton's target share is not going anywhere. We just need more volume from them.
Yep. Yeah, and I think that's the thing too is, we get caught up in the peripherals. Obviously, in a perfect situation, we love the alpha target hog who gets 10 plus targets a game, like in a perfect world, but targets are earned by the receiver. Cortland Sutton has shown he is a wide receiver capable of earning targets in a lot of bad environments when you consider his QB situation last year. So to me, he has passed that test. And if that next test is, Judy eating into his targets, to me, I spin it more as this is the pie is going to get bigger in Denver if Judy is commanding attention and the offense is more efficient, getting more first downs and scoring more.
Yeah, exactly. I have to say I haven't drafted too much Judy. He's quite expensive, isn't he, in redraft for the most part?
He is. Okay. We did miss Ingram. That would have been a nice fall. Wide receiver here. The double stack with Kyler and Kirk and Nuke is pretty interesting to me. It's still, I don't love this running back tier. What do you think?
Hunter Henry's tempting. What do you think about Hunter Henry?
I do think Hunter Henry will potentially fall.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Predatories or early QB, do you want to wait and stack Chark, Minshew, Sutton, Lock? Yeah, I mean, we do have those stack options late, Tannehill as well. What do you think about just pushing in? Are you big on Kirk?
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah, I've always been a Kirk guy from day one. Absolutely.
Let's do this. I mean, we've already made a huge bet on the Cardinals. Why not just do it? And again, at this price, Kirk in this value, I think maybe we are slightly ahead of ADP, but not by a ton.
Yeah. I mean, in sharper drafts, he's going a little bit early in these fields. He's priced about right, I would say. But yeah, I think it's another situation where we're just getting, Kirk is very good. Like he's probably going to. I mean, he's got to be a lock for 800 yards again. Like I can't imagine it's going to be much different. And again, like there's room for growth there in that Arizona offense for sure in terms of pace. They started off like super heavy with the no huddle and pace and stuff like that earlier in the season and backed off. So I still think we could see a lot more from them than people are expecting, even though we're already sort of high on them in terms of a volume perspective.
So structurally, where do you like to go here? We got our 5 wide receivers. We got a quarterback, a running back, tight end. What do you ideally go to here?
I mean, it would be a kind of a luxury to fill out a quarterback or tight end. I don't hate Hunter Henry. Let's see. Yeah, those quarterbacks. I don't know. Is there any of those quarterbacks that are worth reaching for? I don't know about reaching, but is there any of these quarterbacks that you think are worth taking here?
Man, this range is pretty flat.
Flat.
And because I
don't think we need to take quarterback here.
Yeah, so then tight end, I don't mind Henry. I drafted him in the fishbowl.
What's your feeling like? Why do you not like Henry? Why are you?
So it's not about Henry. It's just that I like this next tier so much.
Right.
Goddard. What about, are there any running backs that you would want to reach for here? It feels early for some of these guys.
Yeah, that's going to – a lot of those guys are going to be around next round. So I don't mind. We could go Deontay here.
I like Deontay.
Yeah.
He seems like a cut above the rest as far as upside. Let's do it. And then we're going to be pretty close to I just noticed all the round 8 buys we have. My God.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, but like you said, it doesn't really matter as much in this because there's no head-to-head elements.
Yeah. So yeah, I like this. This is what I've been doing. I really like getting that strong 5th, 6th wide receiver because the drop-off now is massive. Not quite yet, but pretty soon here, the drop-off at wide receiver, like once we get past sort of Slayton, Deontay Johnson, the drop-off is significant. Like those guys aren't going to be scoring many points. So I haven't looked too closely at the other guys' rosters, but we should have a pretty significant edge here at wide receiver, and while also having an elite tight end and running back. So that's what I really like to do. I want to fill those wide receiver spots as quickly as possible.
Yep, and I think we've definitely done that. So now we probably have some interesting options here as far as – I'm going to guess quarterback's still going to be pretty flat when we come around. We're probably looking at running back or tight end.
Yeah, probably not a bad idea to get a running back soon. Like if we can get something in like a Geis. I was drafting a ton of Carry On early. I mean, I don't love him, but his price is so cheap that I'm ending up with a lot of Carry On. Keyshawn Vaughn. Actually, I would look at a Keyshawn Vaughn in this turn here, something like that. Keyshawn Vaughn.
Yeah, it is funny too. Like, I don't know if you view it similar, but it's like we get in this range and I think there's lots of good 0 running back targets in here, but they all just are so similar to me. You know, they have different profiles, different team situations, but like in the aggregate, it's like I view these all so flat.
Yeah. Are you that's sort of by site ADP, right?
Yes, this is by site ADP. I didn't upload any of my own rankings.
Okay. Let's maybe
Geis did just go, by the way.
Who? Geis. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So I think Keyshawn would be a good look here. I think it might be dicey to get him coming back, to be honest with you.
Hunter Henry still falls. It seems like what round have you been drafting Henry in when you?
I haven't drafted a lot of him, to be honest with you. Because it's sort of been between Henry and Ingram. And I've been just hammering Ingram. And I'm starting to think that maybe I shouldn't be doing that so much because that injury is a factor. But it's hard to turn down his upside. So I've been taking Ingram over Hunter Henry lots, but just because I think that offense could be, a lot more high volume with the passing, and Ingram, has some great outcomes in terms of target loads. So, but I don't mind. Ingram already went, right? So yeah.
And Ronald Jones just went. Get paid in the chat had mentioned, yeah, he would have been a good value for a running back, 0 running back target there. We also have to address the Antonio Brown pick in the 9th. I mean, I see him getting drafted in like the 13th and 14th of some of the FFPC. The 9th seems very, very aggressive.
Did he go?
Yeah. Antonio Brown, 9th round.
Oh, he did too. I don't see it. I haven't looked too closely into it in the last few weeks, but like, he's got some serious legal troubles in Florida, man. Like, I don't think it's weird that people are just sort of talking about how he can just sign tomorrow, but he's got to go through, if he signs, then the NFL, after that, the NFL has to make a decision on what they're going to do with him. So even if he signs, this is my understanding, even if he signs, like, then the NFL decides what his discipline is for all that junk in Florida, right? So it just seems like such a long shot.
I know. Yeah.
I mean, and then he's got to perform, right?
Right. And, the big thing is always like, okay, what are you passing over? In the 13th and 14th round, we know that the hit rate of those picks is very minuscule. So if you want to take a flyer on Antonio Brown, go for it. But when you're passing over him for guys that have a pretty high target projection and a decent amount of upside and good offenses, I think that's might be a losing proposition.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you want to do it 15th round later, then fine. I still think it's too much opportunity cost, personally. But maybe I should look into that a little bit more in terms of the legalities and stuff. But like, my understanding is it's not a matter of just signing and showing up, right? Like, yeah, he went nuts there last year in Florida for a while. He's got like criminal charges and stuff. Like, the NFL is not just going to be like, go ahead, man.
I know. Okay, I think we're good at wide receiver for this pick. I mean, our guy, Keyshawn Vaughn, who I do agree would have been the pick there in the 10th, he went as well. The tight ends are still on the board, and then we still have this kind of big grouping of 0 running back targets. Where are you leaning here?
Yeah, you started scrolling down. Can you scroll down a bit more on the running backs? Yeah, the ADP here. So, like, for me, stop there. Yeah. Like, I would take that whole chunk of Pollard, Moss, Freeman, like, all those guys should be at the top of the queue right now. Johnson should be at the top of the queue. So I'd be considered those guys. But I'm good with Hunter Henry here. What are we at for quarterback?
Yeah,
I think quarterback or tight end here probably.
I think we can wait on quarterback. I do notice that these guys behind us do not have a tight end. So why don't we do Hunter Henry? We know Hayden isn't taking a running back. So we grab Henry, and then we can get a running back coming back.
Ooh, look at Mostert in the 9th. Hayden, gosh, wow.
I know. You want to do Henry, though?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. So that gives us another tight end there in the window. Yep. Got the hey Hayden, let us know you drafted Higbee. Would you have drafted Henry if we let him fall to you? And then Court, what are you thinking here as far as do we want to get our next running back here?
Yeah, running back or quarterback, but it looks like quarterback's still pretty flat, isn't it? So I think probably running back's not bad. So
yeah, there's so many options we can do.
Yeah, for sure. And we're done with tight end now, I think. I think we're done with tight end. So we can take 3 quarterbacks if you want to and kind of get that cheap Bronco stack or something like that. So, yeah, I think running back here, he took Higbee over Henry, says Hayden. Okay.
Yeah, he's one of those guys.
I don't mind it. I definitely want to have some Higbee in my portfolio this year.
Yeah. It is when Higbee's price is palatable, I don't mind it at all. There was hype there for a while where he was, I've seen him in the 3rd round of FFPC drafts, like full stop, no joke. So
this is where we're winning and losing drafts right here, in my opinion, is these 0 RB targets. Getting these right, I think, is kind of the key.
What do you think of Zach Moss? This is probably who would be my pick here.
Really interesting.
I think he just has a guaranteed workload right out of the gate, touchdown upside, and I'm not convinced that this isn't a full-on 1A, 1B situation, and then obviously the upside for a lot more if Singletary gets hurt. And he might even be better than Singletary.
Yeah.
Who would be your guy?
Yeah, good. Yeah, I wouldn't take Lindsay over him. I wouldn't take Howard over him. I wouldn't take Michelle over him. I wouldn't take Madison. The only other guys I would consider over him are Pollard.
Yeah.
Did Duke Johnson go? Looks like Duke Johnson went.
Duke Johnson did go. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah. So I'm fine with that. Then Duke might be a guy I would consider over him, but I'm good with that. Yeah, go ahead and take that. Can I give me your thoughts on Duke? I've been sort of considering writing an article on him for a couple of weeks now. What am I missing here? Because he is pretty much okay. Unless we're completely convinced that he never, ever, 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 ever wins a 3-down roll, then he's like a monster 0 RB guy. Like, what else do you want in a 0 RB target? And unless you're convinced he never gets that 3-down roll, which is possible.
I completely agree with you. I've been thinking about him more and more lately, and it is just, isn't it the epitome of, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. Like, we have all been burned so many times by Duke Johnson. The combination of injuries and just usage, we are all just like, we're done. I refuse to get fooled again. But when you look at David Johnson, I mean, he looked legitimately cooked towards the end of last year. And I know that the Texans are going to want to save face. They're going to want to make David Johnson successful. But I think Duke is going to have standalone value, and we know he has the talent to really break off big plays. I mean, high stakes drafters were drafting him in the 3rd and 4th round last year. Right. And the talent hasn't changed.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, he was unlucky not to hit last year. You got to remember, Carlos Hyde played every single game.
Yeah,
he didn't miss a snap basically. So Duke Johnson never really had the opportunity. So I guess. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to read Hayden's questions, but finish your thought.
Yeah, no, I mean, basically for me, 0 RB, you're looking for 3 things in your 0 RB. Standalone value, which Duke has as, top 3 receiving running back talent. Does he have the opportunity for a 3-down roll if there is a injury in front of him? I think he's been an efficient runner. There's no reason why he can't do it. Maybe he doesn't get that role, but I think he's got the ability to do it. So that's a check mark. And then good team, right? Like, Houston's going to be leading most of the games. It's going to be positive game scripts. The offense is going to be efficient. They're going to be near the red zone a lot. So yeah, I really like Duke Johnson. He's so cheap and he's got so much upside. And like you talked about last year, he was a 3rd, 4th rounder, and he's in pretty much the exact same situation, maybe better, considering that, David Johnson did really look completely shot last year.
Yeah. So Hayden has a question for you or us. Curious about your thoughts on elite handcuff-only RBs in good offenses compared to timeshare running backs. So that's I think he's basically describing our Zach Moss, Tony Pollard, or your Chase Edmonds types, these guys that aren't going to see a lot of standalone value, but would just immediately become, top 10 backs if the starter went down.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think Tony Pollard has standalone value.
True.
And I don't know if all those guys do. Chase Edmonds probably doesn't, but Chase Edmonds is a guy who has a potential for a massive swing in value. So I think that could be a target for us. But yeah, obviously, like, the straight handcuff is not something that we're going to be going for. We do want that standalone value. So where we can avoid it, but that's where a guy like Pollard comes in, where even if he doesn't have that breakout season, he can at least give you some nice numbers.
Yeah, and so for me, Hayden, what I want from my 0 running back portfolio is a textured portfolio. I want a few of those pure handcuffs, the Alexander Madison, if that situation goes south with Cook, where I'm just reaping outsized rewards, but also taking on a lot of downside risk. And then I also want a Duke Johnson who's going to catch some passes. I want guys like, Matt Breida, who might kind of be a hybrid of those 2 different profiles. I like a mixture. I want some rookies in there. I want some established vets that we know that they are. So I like kind of mixing up the profiles of my 0 running backs. I don't know if you feel like that too, Court.
Yeah, we're up next year, right?
Yes, we got one more pick. Bugsy, I think you and me know who we're gonna pick if he's here.
Let me see your board.
Yeah, so Pollard falls to us, and we were discussing him there.
Yeah, no, that's a good play for sure.
Yeah, so we'll grab Pollard. And I do agree with you. I think Pollard has both that elite handcuff upside, and I think he's going to be involved in the passing game. I think he has entered that territory of just being too good to keep him off the field for the whole game.
For sure. And it seems like the Cowboys are making a step towards logical coaching decisions with the getting rid of Jason Garrett. So I like them sort of running their offense in a more efficient manner and making more optimal decisions than they have been under Garrett. And if they do that, then that's good news for Pollard.
Where are you at here on quarterback? I think we want to make sure we stay in this window where this second guy we take has a chance to, finish as a top 7 or 8 option. There's a guy here that's interesting to me. Are any of these guys interesting to you?
Well, I'm surprised to see Brady still there. I don't know that I like him in this format, but I'm surprised he's been going earlier and earlier. Wentz is a pretty good offense.
Took him. That was what I was going to say. Damn it, Hayden.
Yeah. So who else we got here now? So I think we can probably I think at this point we're probably going to have to go three quarterbacks. Right?
I agree.
Okay.
And we still
quarterback now.
What do you think? I really like Phillip Lindsay as a premium 0 running back candidate. How do you feel about him?
For sure. I'm not a big Melvin Gordon guy. Lindsay, I was surprised they signed him. Go down a little bit. Yep. Yeah. Lindsay's definitely kind of a tier above, I think. Yeah, I would be fine with him or Kerryon Johnson. I think they're both pretty similar.
Yeah.
But Lindsay's probably a better football player.
That's what breaks the tie for me. Similar situation, but Lindsay has just been excellent every step of the way.
And the thing about Detroit is with Kerryon, what I keep coming back to and what keeps scaring me off is and they've had a weird offense, so I don't know how much weight to put on this, but under Matt Patricia when he's been there, their expected points for running backs overall, I think, has been basically bottom 3 while Patricia's there. And for sure, they've had terrible players. Weird things happening and stuff like that. It's been a strange couple of years under Patricia, but they're pretty. I think there's a pretty low ceiling on even like DeAndre Swift, although I don't mind him in the 4th, and Kerryon Johnson. Kerryon's got that nice anti-fragile profile for sure, but even if things work out for him, he had the backfield to himself last season and had his flashes, but wasn't really what word flashes a league winner,
Yeah. Let's check in on our team here. We have 7 rounds to go. We've made 13 picks. So we only got one quarterback, Kyler. We started with Kamara. We've rounded it out with some 0 running back targets, Zach Moss, Tony Pollard, Phillip Lindsay. I love those guys as 0 RB. And our stacked wide receiver crew, DeAndre Hopkins, AJ Brown, DJ Chark, Cortland Sutton, Christian Kirk, Deontay Johnson, and 2 great tight ends as well, Mark Andrews and Hunter Henry. To me, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking quarterback and running back are still the priorities.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much what we're pounding. Wide receiver, we'll come back to, I think, a little later because it's all pretty flat right now. I think we should be getting quarterback, running back here pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dude, can I see the board quick?
Yes. The draft board?
Oh, I know what we want here. I can't believe he's still out there.
Oh boy, look at the wheels.
There's one wide receiver that I would take here over a quarterback.
Okay, interesting. Let me see if I will scroll through.
I think he's a bit buried on these rankings, but
I have a guess who it would be. There are still some very nice wide receiver values late. I think wide receiver late is one of those things where you can, we're hammering 0 running backs here. But
this is not the part of the draft we like. Jerry Jeudy in the 13th is going to score a similar range of outcomes to James Washington in the 18th. You know what I mean? Like, this is not the part of the draft to be getting wide receivers, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Is my guy there? Did he go?
Just say it.
Mecole. Oh, he went.
Yeah, Mecole went. Yeah.
Oh, God, Jesus.
Yeah. He was up here in where did I see him? Yeah, in the 10th, 94th overall. Yeah. He's Wait, would you say
I've seen him in the 11th and 12th of these drafts?
Would you say you prefer Mecole Hardman in best ball formats, Court?
Yeah, I do, man. He's actually pretty expensive for a guy that had 400 yards, but obviously everybody knows what the ceiling is there.
Yeah. We've started to see some more quarterbacks go off the board. Cam Newton, Tom Brady. Also, a lot of the upside tight ends, Gesicki, Hawkinson, and Fant are off the board, as well as Goddard. There goes another quarterback. So this is definitely the range. Kerryon Johnson goes. Yeah, it's interesting. You see some teams now having to kind of scramble and add wide receiver. Although on the whole, as I look at the board, I think this draft has prioritized wide receivers pretty well.
Yeah, and I actually have been noticing that in the 15 or so drafts I've done in this, that wide receiver is getting bumped more than I expected. Still pretty top heavy at running back, but yeah, we're seeing guys like Diggs, maybe Hilton in regular 12-man have been dropping into the 5th sometimes, and I'm not really seeing that in these formats. People seem to be prioritizing the wide receivers a little bit more.
Yeah,
could be a small sample. I don't know. I'd be surprised if people were adjusting very much.
Talk me through. So Daniel Jones goes. We're up in 2 picks. There goes Ayuk. What quarterbacks do you like here?
Well, Hayden's gone 2 quarterbacks, right? So maybe we should get quarterback on the way back. But yeah, I like Baker, Burrow. Yeah, Baker and Burrow.
I do like Tannehill, and there is the double stack with AJ Brown. Is that in the conversation for you? Are you not a Tannehill guy?
No, not really, but
okay. So Blake Jarwin goes. I do agree that we can wait on quarterback. Although the one hole should probably take a quarterback. What would be? Should we check the running backs again?
Yeah.
Boston Scott is interesting. Any other guys here that jump out to you? It seems like a little bit of a tier break to these next 0 running back candidates after Scott, at least for me.
Is Antonio Gibson there?
He went.
Okay. Then, yeah, I think the only guy that might be worth, like Henderson, I don't mind here. Probably not. Yeah, probably Henderson or nobody, I think, at this tier.
Okay, we got 20 seconds. I'll let you.
What do you think about Henderson?
I don't mind him. I just drafted him in the fishbowl, like extremely cheap. I think we're probably too overconfident on Akers' role. What do you think? We pull the trigger?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, it's wide open there. I mean, they're going to have a lot of expected points from the running backs, so somebody's got to get them.
Yeah. Okay, Gronk goes. I do think we want to grab a quarterback. I'll let you. To
be honest, I don't do any work on quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So I don't know that my opinion is the greatest. Burrow. We were talking about a guy who, like we were talking about earlier, about how the back end of quarterback, there's really not a Lamar this year, and there's not. But Burrow might be the closest for me.
Burrow just goes.
Okay. So in that case, sell me on Tannehill. Like we're just banking on crazy efficiency again, or just that combined with a little bit more volume.
Yeah, so I mean, I think he has a lot of things going in his way. He was very efficient, which obviously isn't sustainable, and they also scored a ton of long touchdowns last year. So I think the efficiency drop will be offset by running more plays, and just the fact that Tannehill has shown us that he can support, pass catchers in an efficient offense, I think actually bodes well to him being good. And I do think they're going to run more plays this year because there's just no way Derrick Henry can score, 8 75-yard touchdowns again.
Man. Well, I'm all right with it if we fill out with 3 quarterbacks.
For sure.
Yeah, okay.
The tiebreaker for me too is getting that stack with AJ Brown, which again, we had a premium investment in him as our 4th overall pick, and now we have stacked our 2 top wide receiver investments with their quarterbacks, which if we get the ceilings from those guys, the quarterbacks are going to benefit.
Yeah. Let's see, how's Hayden doing? I think he did pretty well on wide receiver there for starting 3 running backs.
Yeah, so Hayden hammered Thielen, Beckham, Parker, Fuller, Landry.
Thielen's interesting. I know that the RotoViz guys were for RotoViz guys, they were extremely high on Thielen.
Yeah, he does seem like he's a value right now. He loses Diggs as competition. They draft Justin Jefferson. Your only concern with Thielen is just that offense and how few pass plays they have. But as a talent and as a target floor, I mean, he's a great pick.
So another wide receiver on here. I guess Sammy we could have considered there. Would you have considered Sammy over Tannehill?
I'm not a huge Sammy guy. I get the appeal, just trying to get tethered to Mahomes' options. But just how we built and the kind of wide receivers I like getting later, although some of them have started to go. Ayuk, N'Keal Harry, those are guys I don't mind. There's one wide receiver that I think is just an insane value that is still available. We can check the wide receiver tab here. Robbie Anderson, Golden Tate, Jackson, Ruggs, John Ross, Perriman, Renfro, Pittman, Stills, and I still haven't even named the guy that I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Quarterbacks, at this point, I agree. We're just going to play the volume game and probably add a third here.
Yeah, Drew Lock or Minshew.
Yeah, those guys both perfectly make sense. I really like this team here. How do you feel about it overall?
Yeah, let me have a look here. I mean, I think we did well in the early rounds. So we got Kamara Hawkins. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I love – like our flex is going to be like a Sutton, Kirk, Deontay type of guy, which is really good. And we're going to need – I think Moss could be a real key to this draft. That could be kind of a make or break pick. Can definitely win you a league, but it's a bit costly there. Philip Lindsay has tons of upside. So yeah, I think we're pretty good. I mean, this team is like, for me, this team kind of comes down to Kamara, right?
Yep.
We're going to get a ton of points from wide receiver. We're going to be in the top 3 in the league in tight end points. And we're going to be fine at quarterback. So yeah, this kind of comes down to Kamara, and if he can have that running back one type of season, then we're going to be in great shape. So I like that we went Kamara over Elliott here, because Elliott sort of just feels kind of flat in terms of his range of outcomes, but Kamara's really got that crazy spike potential. So I like that we went that. So, and then we've got the stacks here, which I really like. I mean, and Hunter Henry has a massive ceiling, I would think, for sure. I mean, his per snap type stats, per game type snaps are pretty insane. He just needs to stay healthy.
Yeah, and one other thing that worked out nice is I think we did get Pollard at a nice value, and if we would have gone with Zeke, Pollard would not have been attractive in this format. We would not have wanted to handcuff our number one pick. So allowing us to get the Kamara-Pollard combination, I think, worked out pretty well.
All right, we're 2-3 away here, so I'm probably passing on. Well, team one's going to take a quarterback.
Yeah, so quarterback is still it's pretty flat.
The guys we're thinking are still out there, so we're probably not in a big pinch for quarterback.
What about probably adding another zero running back candidate here? I think would probably be helpful.
Definitely. Who do you like out of this tier here? Yeah, it drops off pretty quick. Yeah, I think getting another running back would be wise. There's a couple of guys in there that are all right, but we're getting into straight handcuff territory here.
I don't mind. I would say out of these guys, Darrington Evans is probably the guy I have my eye on. We're already kind of going heavy on the Titans. I think he's going to have some standalone role. And if Derrick Henry gets hurt, I mean, I don't know who else is taking touches away from the rookie that they drafted.
Yeah, they don't have too much there. And he profiles pretty well as a guy that can step in, right?
Oh,
so, yeah.
Damn it. There goes my Chenault.
Yeah, Chenault.
It happens.
Excuse me. Yeah, I'm good with Evans here.
Yeah, I think he's definitely cut below the other guys, but I think he still has a lot of potential. And we know one of the best things you can do to help win your league is to target cheap rookie running backs. It's kind of something you just want to do. So we got that in Zach Moss and Darrington Evans, and we'll try to get lucky.
So we're at 6-6. So yeah, I think we can go. We could go quarterback here, but I think we can go anything here. We can go quarterback, running back, wide receiver. Do you like Lazard here at all?
I do. I've been drafting Lazard late, although he went in a few picks ago at the beginning of the 16th.
Okay, so wide receiver, we're kind of down to the dregs here, aren't we?
Yeah, there's not a lot that I'm getting excited about here.
Okay.
We could go back to running back. Was there another guy? Or, I mean, we can probably wait on quarterback, although should we just lock up the Minshew?
Sure. Yep. I'm fine with that.
Or do you prefer lock with Sutton? I think you can make a case for either.
I prefer Minshew. I think they're going to be trailing more. They're going to have higher volume. I think more garbage time. I think Denver's going to be playing a lot of close games. Defense, that's what they want to do.
Yeah, let's I like this, man, because we have now triple stacked our top 3 wide receiver options. So this team, its incentives are very well aligned. You know, Hopkins with Kyler, AJ Brown with Tannehill, and Chark with Minshew. If we get the ceilings from those guys, we're going to get lots of good quarterback weeks too.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, so we're finishing. We're done quarterback. We're done tight end. So yeah, probably 2 more wide receivers and running backs. So let's talk about some deep. Or do you wow? There's some good tight ends out there, isn't there?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think depending on the value, I think we could justify a 3rd tight end if we wanted to. We don't have to force it. Yeah. I'm thinking, 2 running backs and a pass catcher, either wide receiver, tight end to finish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely 2 running backs. And then, well, I want to get to 7 wide receivers, I think, for sure.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So we could go 1. Yeah. We could go 1, 1, 1.
Yeah, we can go 1, 1, 1.
I don't want to force that 3rd tight end. I think Ebron maybe is a nice high upside guy that could smash ADP.
Yeah,
maybe might be worthwhile.
Let's see. We got to check out.
Thomas might be worthwhile.
Hayden's got Mayfield, Hooper, Landry, and Odell. Yeah, so he's doing similar stuff.
That's fun. Definitely. I would be stacking. I do like the Browns. I've been trying to get some Odell and Baker and even Njoku I've taken in this format in the final round. Maybe a trade or something like that. Or even if he stays, who knows? Just the thing about the Browns is that division they play in. It's just such a nightmare. And if the season's shortened at all, it's going to be more division games proportionally. And I don't know, man.
Yeah, I know. It's tough. Josh Kelly goes, another rookie running back that has some zero running back appeal. Everyone else kind of just rounding out their roster with positional needs here. But yeah, man, I like this team a lot. It's very fragile, but the wide receivers are, the bedrock of this team. If they hit a ceiling, our quarterbacks naturally will as well. And then it just really comes down to what we get from our running backs. And if we hit some of those ceiling outcomes, I think this team has the kind of fragile profile you want in a contest like this.
Who are your favorite? I find running back at this point really difficult because at this point of the season, of the off season, we really the battle for 3-4 RB3-4 on these teams. We have no idea. Pittsburgh, Benny Snell has the inside edge, but you look at San Diego, LA Chargers is another good example. If you're drafting one of those guys behind Eckler, he could be cut. You know what I mean? So I'm finding it really hard. So I'm finding I'm going in this part of the draft a lot of AJ Dillon because he's not going to be cut, even over a guy like Nyheim Hines, who I really like. But it's tough. This part of the draft for running backs in particular, because you're talking about guys who might not even be the groups we're looking at right now. Those guys might not even have a job come September.
And I think that's a really good point about not only the type of running backs you're drafting, but at this time of year. And it's why I lean to those rookie running backs, because there's a black box nature to what they are. And normally around this time, we're getting mini camps and OTAs. Starts to go through the roof on some of these guys. I think you can, really turn a profit just ADP wise by targeting some of these guys. So there's multiple rookie running backs still available that teams invested pretty decent capital in, and I'm down to keep taking shots on those guys.
Yeah, I think that's the way to play it here, right? They're going to have a job. They're not going to be cut, and a guy like AJ Dillon has a path to 10 touchdowns, right?
Yep. He sure does. And yeah, the Packers made their point. I think AJ Dillon's the pick here. You like it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Continue to add these rookie running backs, Darrington Evans, AJ Dillon. We have now kind of built out what I would view as kind of a quintessential modified zero running back cohort here. I think it has that texture that I like, some pure handcuffs, some rookie upside intrigue. It's got what I want.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm glad you talked me into Andrews in the 3rd. over like Godwin. I think that was a good play because we really do have that foothold for an elite tight end now. So we didn't give up anything at tight end while staying extremely strong at wide receiver. And then, obviously it's going to be really fragile with running backs.
Are you leaning toward one wide receiver, one tight end to finish, or another running back in here? I have one other running back that's interesting to me.
Who are you thinking? Snell?
I was actually thinking Lynn Bowden.
Yeah, Lynn Bowden's interesting. Who's there? Let's see, wide receiver.
So wide receiver is getting pretty gross. Ross, Stills, Tyrell, Westbrook, Mims, Cobb, James Washington, Isabella is. I don't know if we want to do a triple stack. That might be overdoing it. Any of these names? I mean, then we fell the ADP drop off there.
I mean, Bowden's not going anywhere. So if we want to grab our third tight end, here might be the place to do it. There's still a couple guys out there, right? Oh, okay. Yeah. So we lost some. Is Irv Smith out there? He's a guy that.
Irv Smith is gone. I would say Sternberger and Gerald Everett are kind of intriguing to me.
Probably not at this spot, though, eh?
I actually think Bowden will go.
Okay. If you think he'll go, then take him. Yeah.
And then but does that put us up a creek as far as wanting to hit 7 wide?
The only wide receiver I would flush out for number 7 here is maybe James Washington. But what
do you think? You want to do that? I mean, I don't.
Like James Washington has a ton of upside, right? Like although we do have Deontay, right? So that's yeah. That's not a great idea.
Why don't we do Bowden? We can figure it out.
Yeah. If we didn't have Deontay already, then I would definitely consider Washington.
Running back. Sorry, where am I here? There you are, Lynn.
Yeah, tons of upside. So he's classified as running back. I think on MFL he was classified as a wide receiver for a while during my rookie drafts.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to be down to wide receiver or tight end here to finish. I mean, Herndon late isn't bad either.
No.
Yeah, I like Herndon. I like Sternberger. I like Everett. I don't think we need the kind of wide receivers I've been taking flyers on have been Andy Isabella, Miles Boykin, just any of these guys that still have some second year breakout appeal. But it's pretty gross down here.
Yeah, it really is.
And I think all the interesting rookies have now gone. Mims, Pittman, Higgins, any of those wide receivers, they are gone. I think we probably look to tight end here. I think the talent's just better from even a projected point standpoint.
Yeah, I think we've got some better ceiling guys in Sternberger, I guess. I don't think I've drafted Sternberger yet, but I don't mind it.
I mean I don't know. My okay, yeah, I thought it'd be too good. There goes Miles Boykin as well. Yeah, Sternberger, him and Lazard. There's just not that much competition for that second, guy behind Adams, and I think both Sternberger and Lazard are interesting to step up and kind of be that guy. So I don't know. We know how finicky Rodgers is with the wide receivers and pass catchers he trusts. And he cycled through so many guys that, taking a few shots on the ones that he hasn't run out of town yet always seems like a decent strategy.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with Green Bay is they just clearly want to run the ball and they want to take the ball out of – not that matters at this point in the draft. I don't know. Does Sternberger really have that much of an upside? Who else I was thinking of? Is Jalen Hurd still out there?
He is under wide receiver, I believe. Yeah, he's there.
What do you think about him? Given it could be a pup situation for Debo.
Yeah, I mean, he's always been a name that's floated. I actually am not too familiar with him as a prospect. What's his?
I don't know that he has a ton of upside. I think he could be a guy that could be a nice kind of 500. Visca's already gone down there.
He's long gone. We were lamenting that there in the 16th. He went a few picks before us. So yeah, no double stack with Laviska. Laviska was egregiously cheap a few weeks ago, and he's starting to creep up.
Yeah, he was regularly available the final round of these drafts for quite a while.
Yeah.
So you're thinking tight end here? I think I probably agree with you. I don't know that there's much upside at wide receiver.
Yeah, there's two options I like. I like Sternberger and I like Everett late. I think both have decent upside. Do you have a preference?
Probably Everett. I think there's a little bit of anti-fragility there if something happens to Higbee, and just better offense in general. Going to be passing more, going to be training more. A little bit more upside there, I think.
Yeah, so we don't end up hitting that 7th wide receiver, but I think the capital we did invest in it can probably offset that.
Yeah, is that good, man? Should be drafted. 6 wide receivers feels bad to me. I'm not gonna lie.
The question is just like, which of these guys could we?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's bad to draft. I mean, we could take a shot on Hurd. What do you? I'll default to you. What do you think? You want to get that 7th wide receiver?
Oh, it's so gross. I mean, I'd be doing it just for the sake of doing it, right? Like, there's no one there that is.
I think Everett just has such a better chance of filling in a flex spot than those wide receivers.
I think you're right. Yeah, no, I'm totally good with Everett.
Boom.
We
did it, man. Let's run it down real quick, and then we'll get out of here. Kyler Murray, Ryan Tannehill, Gardner Minshew. Our running backs: Alvin Kamara, Zach Moss, Tony Pollard, Phillip Lindsay, Darrell Henderson, Darrington Evans, A.J. Dillon, Lynn Bowden. Wide receivers: DeAndre Hopkins, A.J. Brown, DJ Chark, Cortland Sutton, Deontay Johnson, Christian Kirk. Tight ends: Mark Andrews, Hunter Henry, Gerald Everett. I like this team, man.
Yeah, it's good, man. I would like to have probably that 7th wide receiver. Makes me a little bit nervous. You can never really have too many wide receivers, right? Like you can start 4 a week. So that makes me a little bit nervous. That might be the one thing I might go back and change a little bit. I don't know that I've come out of too many drafts with only 6 wide receivers.
Yeah, I know. We got a little carried away with the 0 running back targets. We could have maybe swapped one of them out. But yeah, I don't hate it.
I mean, we're not lacking at wide receiver, that's for sure.
For sure. Court, for people who aren't familiar with what you got going on over at Bet the Prop, tell them what's good.
Yeah, man. I mean, we're having a pretty we've shut everything down as far as subscriptions go, so everything's free. And actually, you know what? We're going to open up our Slack in the next week or so here as we head into NBA and MLB to the public for anybody who wants to come in. So watch for that. Oh, yeah, we've got the UFC betting preview tonight. Check that out. We've got about 6 picks for that, so that'll be fun. Come. I'll put a link out to our Slack in the next few days here. Come check it out. I've been doing a lot of soccer props, shot over-unders. We've been doing pretty well on those. Been a lot of fun betting some Formula One, betting some golf. Matt Jones is betting golf, and we've got Formula One. We've got soccer props. We've got actually lots going on considering how bad sports is. So we're just kind of preying on football and NBA and everything. So if everything gets going, August is going to be absolutely nuts, and we're probably going to have the site up free for a couple of weeks at the beginning of NBA. So definitely check it out, and we'll give you guys a ton of EV on those bets for sure.
Yeah, I'm just giving you guys a little sneak peek here of kind of what they got going over there. Obviously, some of the sports not going on, so we're dead in the NBA and NBA plays, but we got the PGA popping off, the soccer, we got the UFC channel. They got a fun, just kind of group community going on, lots of good discussion. So I can't recommend it enough. I really like what you guys are doing over there.
I've got about 20 units invested in the Formula One race tomorrow morning, so big sweat there.
All right, guys, thank you for tuning in. I'm going to plan to try to do one of these a day until this big contest fills. I'll get another guest for tomorrow. Really appreciate Court coming on. Thank you guys for coming out, and catch you later. Thanks, Court.
Peace.